punch. We're serving punches in all different ways tonight. I mean, most of us think of punch as a big block of ice or a big ring of ice floating in the middle of it. But one of the things you should think about when you're making punches at home is it doesn't have to be that way necessarily. If you're going to have a punch that you're going to serve for a party, you can have the guests serve themselves and serve it on the rocks. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big block of ice floating in it. You can see, like here, we've diluted this punch a little bit with ice beforehand by stirring to get it to a good temperature and a good level of dilution, and then we're serving it on ice to keep it cold. Because we have a lot of, one of the things that we have in common with New Orleans and DC is our weather, so we need cold drinks in the summertime. So this punch has, the original punch was made with bourbon. We're actually using a blue corn whiskey called Balcones, which is made in Waco, Texas. That's another part of the American Still Life portfolio, who I work for as well right now. And this also has sweet vermouth, Benedictine, which is a sweet, spicy liqueur, like spice in the sense of baking spices. It's made by monks. Sweet vermouth, lemon juice, lime juice, dark tea, and I actually might have covered everything. So does anybody have any questions so far? Yes. Oh, well, that's a good thing. You reminded me. I promised I was going to talk a little bit about punch and its origins and its definition. It's thought that the word punch originated from a word in a Hindi dialect which means five. And the original punches that were made in the 17th century when punch was born were made with 5 ingredients. So you had sugar, spice, citrus, spirit, and water. And so most punches incorporate some combination of those things, and all the kind of classic historic punches basically have this. So here we're getting our spice from Benedictine and from Peychaud's bitters. That's what I forgot, which is the traditional bitters of Louisiana. So those two things are bringing spice to the equation. We're adding water in the form of ice, which we stirred into the thing. We have citrus in the form of orange juice and lemon juice, and spirit, which the base spirit of this is the Balcones corn whiskey, which is made from an heirloom strain of blue corn whiskey, which has actually been cultivated by the Hopi Indians for generations. The guys who make the blue corn whiskey by the ground corn. Yeah, the whiskey's made in Texas, but the blue corn actually comes from a neighboring Indian reservation in New Mexico or Arizona. I forget, or it might be like on the border. It's from Hopi Indians, which is another kind of fun reason that we substituted that for the original bourbon spirit in this punch, because the Tchoupitoulas is, the name of the Mardi Gras Indian tribe, and we're connecting that to a Native American tradition as well. So punch originated in India, it's thought, in the 17th century. It was originally a drink that was consumed by sailors. It spread all around the world by English sailors. Became popular in the West Indies as well as in the East Indies. And gradually, over the course of the next century or so, it became something that moved from the kind of rough and tumble world of the professional sailor into the parlor a little bit, and was served in coffee houses in the early 19th century, and by the late 19th century was something that had become quite genteel, which is why we have things like the Chatham Artillery Punch and some of the punches we're going to enjoy later that have their historical origin in Charleston with aristocratic societies in that city. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll let you enjoy your food and your punch. All right, great. Yes,
thank you. How did you begin this journey of punches? Book about punches?
Well, as some good friends of mine who are sitting to your right can tell you, I've loved entertaining for a long time, and punch is one of the ultimate forms of drink to serve to your guests, because it's fun, it's delicious. You can enjoy it with your guests instead of having to spend all night making drinks for people. So I've always loved that aspect of throwing parties, making delicious drinks for people. And I first encountered historic punch, sort of the type that we're enjoying tonight, when I was kind of pinch hitting as a server at a short-lived speakeasy project in DC called Hummingbird to Mars, where the 3 really great bartenders in DC set up a an evening 2 nights a week for a couple of months. It was very short-lived, serving really incredible handmade cocktails. And they served a punch as an amuse-bouche to everyone who came. You got a little glass of punch while you sat down and figured out what you wanted to order, and while you were waiting for your drink to be made, because the drinks were very labor-intensive. So I just was blown away by how amazing some of the punches were that they made, and I was very excited when I got the opportunity to make the punch one day when I was pinch hitting as part of their staff. And I just fell in love with the idea that the flavors were so interesting, the history was so interesting, the tradition of serving in the bowls and with all the other the special glasses and the ladles and things like that. Just a lot of fun. My enthusiasm kind of coincided with a groundswell of interest in punch among classic cocktail enthusiasts, because punch is kind of the granddaddy of the cocktail. You know, it was how people consumed spirits for quite a long time before cocktails evolved to the way that we think of them today.
Wow. How long did it take you to write the book?
Well, it was very much a team effort. The photography, which is I think one of the most lovely parts of the book, I can take no credit for whatsoever. There was a company that was kind of the producer of the book, in the sense of like a way a producer makes a movie. They put together the different elements. So I was hired to do some writing and assemble punch recipes. And you know, at the time that I became a part of the project, we didn't have that much time to finish it, because it took them a really long time to get all the photography and things together, and they had a deadline that needed to be met. So it was a process of several months. Several days in those months were spent without sleep. It was a lot easier to get bartenders to agree to give me punch recipes than it was to actually get them to give them to me. So there was a little bit of kitten herding, and then a whole lot of bleary-eyed conversion from milliliters to ounces and cups to liters, and they had to make everybody's recipes sort of look the same. It's the kind of thing that's you know, obvious and transparent in every cookbook, but that you don't realize necessarily until you start to sit down and write one. That you know, everyone's recipes need to sort of look the same and have some kind of comparability and consistency. So, but it was a really, really fun project to be involved in. So I'll come back and tell you more about punch when we serve you your next one. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your meal and your punch. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Restaurant.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out
this was curry, but it's mustard here.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's one
So I had just